The chronological Bible reading for February 19th is Leviticus 19 through 21. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to all the congregation of the sons of Israel, and say to them, Holy you shall be, for holy am I, Yahweh your God." That word holy means sacred. It's derived from the root word kadash, meaning to be set apart or to be holy. This word primarily denotes something or someone that is set apart for a special purpose, usually in a relationship to God. It signifies purity, sanctity, and separation from the common or profane. In the Old Testament, this word is frequently used to describe God Himself, His people, places, and objects which are dedicated to His service. Holiness is a central concept that's defined the relationship between God and His people. The Israelites are called to be a holy nation. Christians today are called to be a holy priesthood. We are to be distinct from other people through our covenant with God. For the Israelites, during the time that Leviticus was being written, holiness involved moral purity and ritual cleanliness. And the rituals, as we know, always represented spiritual truth. We are to reflect God's nature and His requirements for worship and community life. The concept of holiness permeated the way the Israelites lived back then, and it should permeate the way we live today. God says, be holy, be set apart, be different. And then He gives them lists of rules to keep. For the most part, these rules are all things that they are not to do and why they're not to do them. We would never be able to keep all of these laws and rules that are written for us in Leviticus, especially when we look at it through the lens of what Jesus said, like, the law says you shall not commit adultery, but I tell you, even if you look at a woman lustfully, you've already committed adultery with her in your heart. The law says don't kill, but I'm telling you, if you hate your brother in your heart, you're guilty of his murder. It seems absolutely impossible because it is when we're focused on the law and trying to do what's right and not do what's wrong. But if we could sum all of these rules up, it would be as simple as saying, love God, give Him all of the respect and honor and affection that is due Him, and love your neighbor as yourself. To love God is to respect Him. It's to be devoted to spending time with Him. It's to do the things that He requested that we do, such as meditate on His law day and night, such as maintain the Sabbath, do no work on that day, keep it holy, remember the things He's done, continue to place your trust and your hope in Him, knowing that He will be good in the future, just as He has been in the past. We also love our neighbors. We treat them the way we ourselves would like to be treated. If you have a field, don't harvest every last bit. Leave enough for the people who don't have fields to gather so that they're not going to be hungry. If there are people who are less privileged than you, take care of them. It doesn't mean you have to harvest the food and prepare it and then feed them, but leave enough that they can go and work and provide for themselves. Don't do the things that other people in the world are doing. Do not sacrifice your children. As a matter of fact, if you make your own daughter a prostitute, the result will be not just the loss of your daughter, but the land itself will be cursed because of your depravity, and it will propagate and get even worse. God created spiritual laws that, when broken, result in physical consequences. Why are some areas economically depressed? It's likely because of the depravity and the sinful lifestyle of the people who live there. And if it's not the people who live there, maybe it's their leadership. Moses was a priest to Aaron. Aaron was a priest to the Levites. Many of the Levites were priests to Israel, and Israel was a priestly nation to all the people groups they interacted with. We as believers in Yeshua today are called to be priests as well. And so when we are reading these words, the commands that are being given to the priests, they apply to us. As the royal priesthood that Scripture says we are, we need to attempt to understand what God is saying about the priests and how that should apply to us. And there are some strange things in there. In chapter 21, it says a priest should not make himself ceremonially unclean by touching a dead person. Unless it's his immediate family, then it can be excused. The picture there is that the priests should have no contact or be defiled by things that are dead. We know that death represents sin. It also says the priests should not cut the corners off of their beards, which from a literal standpoint doesn't make a lot of sense. But when you look at the meaning of those words, it says to not cut off the corners of the beard. And the root word for beard means to grow old or to be old. And so a spiritual understanding of this rule is to say, don't cut off the elders among your people. Respect your elders. Listen to them. Learn from them. They are mature. They are wise. They are honorable. They're worthy of honor. And so, my friends, the goal of this is that you and I will spend more time in the Word, meditating on the law as we are commanded to do, so that we will love God with all of our mind, all of our heart, all of our soul, all of our strength. And in so doing, we will become the people He is calling us to be. This is why it's so important that we get together and that we are, like the early church, devoted to the apostles' teaching, fellowship, breaking of bread, and prayer. If you don't have a group of people that you're meeting with as often as possible, even every day, if it's at all possible, then find one. If you can't find one, or if you don't have a group, then join us. Send me a message through BibleInOrder.com. And as iron sharpens iron, we will strengthen and encourage one another, exhorting one another towards love and good works as we return to first century Christianity. God bless you. Thank you for being here with me. See you tomorrow.